Alright guys, MTech Guy here, and today we're going to be taking a look at my E60 M5, which is actually a Japanese import. So the car was originally sold new in Japan. Now it's still built in Germany, still has the normal Euro tune, but it has some slight differences here and there that make it usable and legal for use in Japan. So we're going to check them out today. So what's this car doing here in New Zealand? And why did I choose to buy a Japanese import over a car that was sold New Zealand new? Okay, so overseas, countries like the UK and as far as I'm aware, America, when you talk about a Japanese import, they're often referred to as being a grey import. Now, it's a little bit different here in New Zealand because up to 60% of the cars on the road, registered for use on the roads here, are actually Japanese imports. So it's sort of a cultural thing here. So it pretty much comes down to the strict road safety rules over in Japan. They get to a point where it's almost more economic to sell the car that's only a few years old and buy a newer car. Now most of them cars get shipped over here to New Zealand. There's a huge market for that over here. So when the cars arrive here in New Zealand, it's not just a case of getting them put through like an annual inspection. They have to go through a pretty stringent compliance process. So they're checked over. The previous registration documents are checked for any accident damage, anything like that. And with a lot of them, before they leave Japan, the mileage is verified and there's a sticker put on the windshield. And the same depending on what part of Japan it came from. It might be checked over for radiation as well. On the back of what happened at the nuclear plant following the tsunami they had over there, there'll be a sticker put on the windshield also. And what's great about it is we get a real eclectic mix of cars on the road here in New Zealand. To be a car enthusiast over here is great. You know, you get some really interesting, especially Japanese cars, some that are specific just to the Japanese domestic market you might not see anywhere else in the world. So yeah, it's real interesting. So why did I choose a Japanese import over a car that was sold brand new in New Zealand and built specific for the New Zealand market? Well, like I've talked about in previous videos, I bought the car on condition over anything else, over spec, over colour, anything like that. So the condition of the car, you know, they're getting up over 10 years old now. That was more important to me than where it came from. And personally, what I've found over the years is the condition of the Japanese cars have been that little bit better than what I've looked at here in New Zealand, the New Zealand new cars. And I tell you what, I've got to really take my hat off to, like, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or what it is over in Japan, but you guys certainly know how to look after your cars well. You know, keep on top of the maintenance and the condition of them inside, how clean they are. Just I'm a pretty fussy guy myself, but yeah, I really have to take my hat off to you. So anyway, we'll take a look around the car and look at them small differences and how they differ to the ones over in Europe. So where a few of the differences are with the iDrive system. Now one of the first things you notice on here on the center console is that it doesn't have the DVD drive for the navigation. Now Japan uses a different system to most of the rest of the world when it comes to satellite navigation. Most of the cars have a different aerial setup in the back, and instead of the sat-nav unit being in the center console here, we've got a mini displayer. And the navigation unit itself is in the boot, and it runs on a hard drive system rather than DVDs. Next up, you got the radio frequencies. They're slightly different. Now on much earlier cars, they used to put what they call a band expander in there just to give you that range of the New Zealand frequencies. Not so much on this, it's got to be reprogrammed. I haven't found it a huge issue for myself, but yeah, it is what it is. And if we go over to TV, over here in New Zealand, our TV system works on a PAL system, but this is a bit like America, NTSC, which makes no difference here anyway, because this is set up for analog TV. We're on fully digital now, so it's not going to work either way. And then if we click out of here and go over to the navigation, you can see that obviously the navigation system's not going to work here in New Zealand without some heavy modifications. And we've got some maps up there. The area in Japan must have been one of the last places it was before it got exported over to New Zealand. And if we move over to the speedometer, you can see that the one in the M5 here tops out at 330 km per hour. Now, cars in Japan, they're limited to 180 km per hour, but obviously that can be lifted or removed with a bit of programming. Another difference here is the rear view mirror. Now you can see it's pretty large, pretty deep on the Japanese import ones, and you see around the side here it's got a little slot for a card. Now when I start the car up, you'll see that it says no card on the front there at the top. And what that slot's for on the side there is over in Japan they have a lot of toll roads, and what they do is they get a card to go in there, it's a bit like a top-up card, and as they go through the toll roads it'll just deduct the amount automatically. It's just saves stopping at the booths and rummaging through your change and whatnot, so yeah, it's a pretty cool system, but obviously it's no use over here in New Zealand. Now another feature, and I found this pretty annoying, we'll just start the car up here. Just wait for the seatbelt chime to stop. Now if I select reverse, you'll hear we've got a chime. It's a reversing chime, so yeah, I find that pretty annoying. You usually got that, and then you've got your parking sensor going off at the same time. It's a real pain in the ass, but it must be mandatory over there. It is what it is. And of course, one of the most obvious things is Japan is also one of the few countries that drive on the left-hand side of the road, so it's a right-hand drive car, same as here in New Zealand, so there's no issues there. And if we have a look down in the passenger footwell here, you see we've got a wee clip there. Now all cars have these over there. What it's used for is an emergency flare. It's mandatory for all cars to have them over there. Then if we open the fuel filler cap here, you can see we've got a label here to let us know what type of fuel to use. Now obviously it's in Japanese and I can't read Japanese. One thing I always remember is this little character here. Looks like a man running, a man in a hurry. And I know that this label tells you that you should be using premium fuel. Obviously being an M5 is pretty obvious anyway. Alright, so there we have it guys. There's some of the quirks and differences on how a car built for the Japanese domestic market differs from BMW's the rest of the world market. Now although not a very informative video, I thought this would be a good one to put together for a lot of you enthusiasts. I thought you might find it interesting. And if you do find it interesting, don't forget to give the video a like. Make sure you check out the rest of my channel for more BMW and M5 content. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks for watching.